What is going on, ladies and gents? It's your boy Neosynthesis. Finally coming back at you with some more content. Macro test went pretty well today. Not too worried about it. My classmates seem to be absolutely having an apocalypse over it, but I didn't think it was that hard. So anyway, what you guys see before you is very similar to my Zoodiac deck that I've been playing on the ladder, which will eventually come out, like my just regular all legal ladder deck. But today I figured I would do something a little bit different. I wanted to go ahead and make a deck list for the upcoming XYZ festival. So if you guys don't know, the only information we have right now about the XYZ festival is that it'll be restricted to just XYZs in the extra deck. Now I am assuming there will be there'll be some limitations put in place. So I think we might see the forbidden. We might see Dryden become forbidden. We might see Zeus become forbidden. I think that maybe making F-Zero forbidden would also be a good idea, because otherwise birds are just going to be super strong. What was I thinking? Yeah, I guess that's it. So I don't really know what the format's going to be, which is why my hand trap lineup is a bit wonky. But there is one hand trap that I know is going to be insanely good that we're running 3 of that I'm sure you guys don't recognize. That's because it's a trash hand trap in normal Yu-Gi-Oh! But it's actually just legit secret. There's a lot of secret broken cards. And I guess at the end I'll run through some stuff that I was considering. But without any further ado, let's get into the card by card. So I guess I'll start off with the hand traps as I normally do. So we're running 3 Max C, 3 Ash. Just because you can only XYZ summon does not change the fact that these are the first and second best hand trap in the format regardless. Max C can oftentimes stop your opponent's turn, get you a +1, or in enough situations, just straight up win you the duel. Max C is incredibly imbalanced and probably needs to be banned. I don't know, right? Because when I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh! For years, I didn't think this card was a problem, but then again, it is a card that gets better and better as Yu-Gi-Oh! Goes on. It's actually gotten slightly worse, in my opinion, in the past couple years because of the rise of cards like Crossout Designator and Called by the Grave becoming so popular. And when you have a powerful card like this, it will draw a lot of that stuff. And it can also draw Ashes, which is not something you could draw when I was playing. So, but regardless of all those downsides, Max C is still so good that it is, in my opinion, like a must 3. It's the first card you put into a deck when you start deck building. Okay. Next up, we have Ashes, Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. Yeah, we run Ashes. This card's amazing. Like I said, being able to stop Max C a lot of the times is crucial. Being able to stop Pot of Desires, maybe a Search, a Cyber Emergency or a Drytron Nova, something you absolutely need to stop. That Max C is just it's just too good not to include in the deck. And then we'll talk about the staple one, Infinite Imperm. Yeah, I've said a lot about Imperm, about how it's good going first, going second. It's also obviously a lot less good going first, but just being a trap card and something that individuals who underrate this card often don't think about is the Imperm column. And you can sometimes get a lot of wins off of Imperm columns. And the beauty about Master Duels, it's not like paper. So if you Imperm a column and somebody activates a card like across from you and they kind of just activate it in like a sus spot, like not really in any columns, like they just like discard it to the graveyard or something, then you have to be like, wait, can you put that like in the column? And they look at your background, they're like, oh, that's Imperm. But in Master Duel, you have to actually put it into a column, so a lot of times you can get Imperm column negates just because people are bad. Anyway, I feel like I've said enough about Imperm. Negating one effect is awesome. It's better than Valor, because we can do it during the battle phase. We can do it in our standby phase, in our main phase. Like, it's great. Just being able to do it whenever is amazing. The downside of not controlling cards is kind of not great, but a lot of the times we can set Imperm and use it if we are going to be making a board. So let's clutch. Okay, for the stuff you guys know what to do. I'm only running 2 Nibiru. I don't know what the format's going to entail. I still think Nibiru will be good because I think there'll still be some crazy pop-off decks. You know, like really, we have no idea what the format's going to be. I think this is probably the best deck. I could be wrong. You know, it could be like Numeron Gate, OTK, or something, just because once that deck is unleashed versus no, like, Omni Negates, maybe it's just too good. Like I said, we haven't really seen the format. We don't even know the ban list, so I'm just doing my best. I figured I'd just make some sort of skeleton prototypical list I could jam off of, so long as Zoo is actually playable for this format, right? And then so that's why we're learning too. I would max out on this card in the real game because it's just so incredibly powerful. Okay. Then we're running 2 Droll and Lockbird. I still think there's going to be a lot of tutoring in the game just because, you know, modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that way. And then being able to stop a Max C, you know, after 1 draw. It's not as good as Ash, but hey, you know, it's better than them drawing a million. Having Droll is something I'm interested in. So I have a couple of Drolls in my deck, and there was a couple other things that you know were considered not really hand trap wise. I think this was pretty much the most fringe hand trap for me is the Droll. So the Droll would probably be the first one to come out. And then the technology over here is the Flying Sea, which is a card that saw play when I played the game. And it is, of course, not balanced around this format. In my actual opinion, I think this card should be banned in this format because it is just completely degenerate. It's better than, like, it's not better than Maxi. It's really good. Especially if you know your opponent is actually going to be XC summoning and not just summoning Eldritch the Golden Lord. Which is, like, the only situation where this card is, like, super bad, is against a deck that just doesn't care about XYZ summoning. But what this says is when your opponent normal special summons a monster, we can special summon this card from our hands to our opponent's field and defense position. And guess what? The controller of this card cannot XYZ summon. So, yeah, if they want to XYZ summon a bunch in their combo, they might have no way to get rid of this. Yeah, it's pretty good. So we're running 3 of this because I think it's, like, secret OP broken in this format. And, you know, I wonder what exactly will happen. Like, what the format will be, because if they ban nothing, it's going to be this deck and Eldritch, and then if they ban, like, the Zoo stuff and they ban, like, the Eldlord or something, I don't even know. I don't even know what it would be. It's crazy. I'm really interested to see what they do. Anyway, we'll just continue moving on. So we got a couple of going second cards. I'm only really running, I guess, 5 technically going second cards because it's kind of a... the whole deck is basically zoos, so that's pretty cool, like the 10 zoos we run, which we'll get into them in just a second. Excuse me, 13 zoos, because we count Tenki as zoos. Alright, sorry. We run 2 Lightning Storm. You know, this was 1 Duster, 1 Raigeki. This was 1 Duster, 1 Lightning Storm. This was 1 Raigeki, 1 Lightning Storm. It's gone all over the place, but I feel like having 2 Lightning Storm in my deck is just better, because I felt like most of the time when I was drawing Duster and it wasn't specifically against a set 5 deck, I was just, you know, it wasn't always wanting Duster, I guess if that makes sense. So, like, it was about half and half if as long as I'm not going against a set 5 deck, which is why I think, you know, that perhaps maybe this is the optimal number, right? Because I think we maybe would just run 2 Duster. If we could run 2 Duster, which is like, you know, we're gonna keep this. I think that Duster is just a completely insane card, and I think Lightning Storm, it sometimes is Duster, and it's, you know, unfortunately sometimes a like worse version of Raigeki. But it's like you know, it's what you pay in the versatility of the card, right? All right, moving. Oh, yeah, and then we are on 3 Forbidden Droplets. I think this is just a staple card in the format. I imagine there's going to be decks out there making degenerate first turn like lock boards. So, you know, even having 1 Forbidden Droplet to get rid of something annoying like a Zeus or a Trident, or, you know, any of the various quick effects that are, I think, going to be kind of everywhere in this format. You know, this card. Droplet's good versus that. Droplet is just an insanely good modern Yu-Gi-Oh card, and then in this deck specifically, we've always we've usually got stuff face up. We can send like a Tenki, or sending a Zoo from our hand is not the worst thing in the entire world. And this deck is just really good at generating advantage. So Droplets is good in a deck like that, where it like generates like quote unquote advantage, even though your advantage might be like a negated Borbo or something, but you can definitely get some advantage, and Droplet is a card that's really good converting your advantage to wins. Okay. So I guess now is the time in the deck profile we actually get into the engine cards, which is cool. So I'll go through the zoos in descending order of how good they are. Alright, 3 Thoroughblade. This card's completely insane. Basically, if it's normal special summon, we can discard 1 Zoodiac card and then draw 1 card. That's not really the important stuff about this card. Really, it's just that it's 1600 attack. I mean, that effect is nice, obviously, and it sets up for a lot of our plays, like, sending Ram, and then there's like if you can discard a Ram, there's like a little Ram combo. I'll run through, I suppose, in a second. Excuse me. But essentially, we just love seeing this card because it's 1600 attack, and if you guys don't know, all the Zoo XYZ monsters actually share the same effect, that you can just special summon them once per turn, per name, using 1 Zoodiac monster, and then it's going to gain all the stats of the Zoodiac monsters that it's on top of, basically. So summoning a Dryden on top of this will give it 1600 attack and 0 defense, if that makes it make sense. I hope it does. Alright, and then the little, do you see this little bullet point effect? This basically just says, and a lot of the zoos have this, I actually think all of them do, that in XYZ material, it's Beast Warrior that has this card as material, so i.e. literally just just your zoo extract stuff. It will inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent, so that's cool. Sometimes you can get your zoo super big, and you can deal like 5,000 piercing battle damage into 0 defense, something that wasn't paying attention. So yeah, I really love Thoroughblade. It's it's the super rare of the deck for a reason. We don't have a rat in this game, but yeah. So this is the best Zoodiac now. Okay. Moving forward, we are running 3 Ram. It's like the second best zoo in our deck. It doesn't really have an effect on the card per se. Sometimes it does, but I guess if it says if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, we can target a Zoodiac monster in our graveyard and special summon it, except for Ram, of course. So obviously we're not really playing Shining Angel meta, if you guys can believe it. So when this card is not often destroyed by your opponent attacking into it, most of the time you're actually going to proc it off of your Dryden. If you guys don't know what Dryden does, it just has a once per turn we can detach material and destroy a card, face-up card on the field effect. So popping Ram is something that is completely viable to do on your turn, because on your next turn you can have the disruption. And when we pop Ram, it allows us to, extend into a lot of our further combos. And I guess I'll discuss that one that I'd mentioned briefly before when I talked about Thoroughblade, because I guess now you guys... Oh, and then the second effect is that if this card's XYZ material, your opponent can... If your opponent activates a trap card, trap card or effect that targets this card, you can attach 1 material from this card and negate the activation. Now, this rarely comes up, but sometimes you can negate an imperm, and... If you can negate an imperm that they needed to go off, you can oftentimes just win the game. So don't forget about that second Ram effect, because it is sometimes useful, especially when you're playing into back row. But don't think of it as like a real benefit of Ram. We run Ram because of the we just want to draw Ram and Thoroughblade. It's like a really good combo. And then Ram's also good stats, right? 400, 2000. So when we throw Ram under a zoo, it's actually pretty resilient, and it won't just get beaten over by like a Herald of a Diviner of the Herald or something like that, like something ridiculous. Like if we put a card with just a Thoroughblade in defense, that card's just gonna get attacked over most of the time, or it's gonna be attempted to attack over, right? And then we have to waste the Dryden effect to pop a normal summon card, which is not what you want to do. Anyway, I will go ahead and run through that little combo I mentioned. So you just normal summon. So you have these two in your hand, the Ram and the Thoroughblade. Normal summon normal summon Thoroughblade, not Ram. Discard Ram. And then we are going to overlay into Zoodiac Chakanine. And Chakanine's effect is that we can resummon a zoo monster from our graveyard, but we cannot use it as an XYZ material, and it does not have its effects active. Alright. So after that, we're going to use the material under Chakanine to target the Ram in our graveyard, resummon the Ram, and then we are going to overlay into Zoodiac Trident, which I already mentioned has a once per turn popping effect. We are going to pop the Ram. The Ram will, of course, be destroyed by card effect. It will trigger in the graveyard, allowing us to resummon either our freshly detached Chakanine or our, if we have another zoo in our hand, we want to discard to draw, we can resummon the Thoroughblade, but, let's say we just don't, so we just resummon the Chakanine. Alright, next step is to go ahead and overlay into the Hammer Kong on top of the Trident, and then the reason we did that is because we're going to overlay into, and Hammer Kong doesn't really have an effect. We're not worried about that. He's like a useless XYZ. He's essentially just played to add more material to your combo. And then we're going to overlay him into Utopic. We're going to overlay both those XYZs, right, into Utopic Future. This card is super, we're not going to, don't worry about the effect. The summoning condition is just two non-number XYZ monsters that are the same rank. Okay, so in this situation, we are using Hammer Kong and Chakanine, and then the other, and it does say that the material under those cards is not transferred to this card, so that's the reason we made the extra Hammer Kong, so that our Trident will fall off into the graveyard, because there was a lot of stuff in this deck that we recur Trident with, so. Ooh, anyway. We overlay into F-Zero, and then we just slap F-Zero Draco Future on top. Draco Future is just a once per turn monster negate that, if you negate a monster on the field, we actually take control of it, so that's super cool. And then the other effect of this card is it can't be destroyed by battle or card effects, so it's immune to Lightning Storm, Raigeki, that kind of stuff. So yeah, this card can be super tough to deal with for a lot of rogue decks. And then even meta decks, if you know how to manage your one monster negate and manage the other disruption that you're likely to have in your hand, it can actually be a pretty good turn one board. So setting that up is just what I kind of ran through right there with that little Ram Thoroughblade combo. Alright, and then for the third best zoo, we run Zoodiac Whiptail. Just 1200, 400. Like I said, I'm just going to mention the stats quickly because of the zoo effects themselves. So we actually have the quick effect to just be able to attach this card to a Beast... Oh, is it? Yeah, to a Beast Warrior XYZ card, just whenever we would like, essentially. Which is awesome. Not really the best, but there's some fun little battle tricks and life point damage bursts out of nowhere. We can have up to 3,600 of burst in our hand from Zoodiac Whiptail. Which is definitely interesting, but the main effect, the reason we run this card is actually the attachment effect. So the attachment effect just says that if an XYZ monster that is original type is Beast, which is Beast Warrior, which is all of ours do, extra deck, we can just banish a monster after damage calculation, which is, hey, it's a great way to remove stuff that is really hard for us to deal with, that can't be targeted or can't be destroyed or whatnot. It's just, and then banishing cards as well. Sometimes cards just need to not be banished for your opponents to play the game. So if you can find the right card to banish, you can oftentimes just win games outright. Finally, we are running a 1 Bunny Blast. This is kind of just the standard 10 Zoo lineup you're going to see in just about every pure Zoo deck. And all you really need to know about Bunny Blast is when it's destroyed by battle or card effect, we can target a Zoo card in our graveyard and add it to our hand. So I suppose sometimes recycling our Trident is good. Sometimes getting another Zoo card back into our hands so that we can play the game next turn is sometimes good. Really, if there were more Zoos, Bunny Blast wouldn't make the cut. But there's some fun loops you can do with you know, set a Bunny Blast, or say you've got a Ram in the or you've got a Bunny Blast in the graveyard, set a Ram. Ram gets destroyed by battle, resummon Bunny Blast, add Ram. You know, you can go on and on if your opponent only has 2 attacks per turn. If they're under something like Geyser Coliseum or something like that, I don't know. But that's a cute little thing you can do with Bunny Blast. So yeah, we run the Bunny Blast. Just like 10 Zoos is something we need for our consistency in our deck as well. So, you know, if we could run Rat Pierre, obviously we would run Rat Pierre. Duh. Alright. So, we are also running just 3 Tenki. This card just basically says add a Zoodiac card from our deck to our hand. Boom. Sometimes we're looking for the other piece of the combo, sometimes we're looking for a Whiptail, sometimes we're looking for just, you know, just a naked Thoroughblade. It just depends on where your game state is, right, guys? But, you know, this card being able to search any of your engine is super good. So, yeah, that's what I mean when I say we run 13 Zoos, right? Because we run the 10 monsters and the 3 Tenki to get to them. And then we run 3 Pot of Desires. Yeah, I feel like Desires is pretty self-explanatory in this deck. We don't particularly care if any 1 or 2 cards get banished. I will say it kind of sucks if a playset of a card gets banished, but, you know, you really can't control Desires like too much. Anyway, drawing 2 cards is definitely worth it. It's insanely powerful. It can unbrick your hands, make your bad hands good, and your terrible hands playable sometimes, so... Yeah, we run 3 Pot of Desires. It's really good in this deck. It essentially is functionally Pot of Greed in this deck, because we don't have any quote-unquote engine requirements. Like, there's nothing we're, like, searching out specifically from our deck that will, like, make everything go. Alright. And then we run just the 1 Reborn. It's actually just super, super insane in this deck in particular, just because of the way that the Zoodiac XYZ mechanic does work. And then, you know, resummoning like a Thoroughblade sometimes is also cute. Also, it's broken in the mirror match, so I expect to actually see a good bit of mirrors. I don't know how much mirror matches I'll see. I actually have a couple tech cards that I was considering running in this deck that I'm not sure on the format yet, and they may end up finding their way into the deck when I just see what's good and what's bad in the XYZ Festival format, but there's definitely some consideration for mind control. So I definitely considered mind control. I know I don't own mind controls, but I think this card is actually okay. Especially in a metagame where there would be, like, theoretically a lot of Zoo mirror matches, because taking your opponent's Zoo XYZ and stacking another, you know, card on top of it's pretty sweet. Also, you know, pretty much anything we can take and stack Zeus on top of it, so this was definitely a card I was considering. What was it? My Body. So you guys don't know, this card was played widely in the Zoo Mirror format. If your opponent activates a spell trap monster effect that will destroy a monster on the field, pay 15 life points and you destroy it. Destroying your opponent's Dryden is pretty much what this card does a lot of the time. Yeah, it's good in the Zoo Mirror. And then if it's literally just like Zoo Tier 0 format, so you know, you might consider something like this. And then the other card, yeah, the other card is Enemy Controller. If you guys don't know what Enemy Controller does, just target. It's either like a Book of Moon effect, or not really a Book of Moon, like a worse Book of Moon. We can target one face-up monster your opponent controls, change that target battle position. So I suppose it's different than Book of Moon, but we don't get to put it face down. Or we can tribute a monster and then target one face-up monster your opponent controls and take control of that target into the end phase. Mind Control is probably better, and then I think Brain Control's unlimited too. Yep. Oh, Brain Control is not good. Because you can't take XYZ. So play Mind Control, not Brain Control. If you're gonna play any of that tech. That stuff's super good in the XYZ format. I didn't put any of it in yet, just because, like I said, I'm not 100% sure what the format's going to be. I think Mind Control might be a card that is a staple in this format, but you know, I'm not really 100% sure yet. I don't think I've really done the extra deck fully yet at this point. I think I've explained every card in the deck. The Lightning Storm, the Dusters, The Monster Reborn, just being able to get any zoo back and get our engine going again. Called by the Grave, I don't think I mentioned this card, but I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. It's kind of a format staple. Just being able to negate any card that is activating either in the graveyard or discarding itself to the graveyard to activate an effect, like a Maxi, an Ash, a Droll, and there's a lot of stuff in the format. An Eldritch, there's a lot of stuff that we are down to Call by the Grave. So we do play 2 of this card. It's good going first, going second. Just a great card in the format. Semi-limited for a reason. Limited in the TCG for a reason. It's just oftentimes a complete and total blowout. All right, now I guess we'll go through the card-by-card extra deck. I think I already mentioned the F-Zero package. That's pretty much the only way you're going into this card consistently is the line that I mentioned when I was talking about these cards. I don't think I've mentioned what Tiger Mortar does, but it shares the same XYZ effect as all of the Zoodiac cards, saying that we can just special summon it basically just by slapping it on top of a Zoodiac monster for free. Just once per turn this way, and then this card's effect is actually that we can attach a material and target a monster in our graveyard, and then target an XYZ monster on the field, and then take that monster from the graveyard and equip it to the monster on the field, which is good. And then, like I said, all the Zoo cards share the same effect, basically that their stats like stack under it. So when this card has got like a Thoroughblade under it, it's 1600 0, and then if you added like a Ram, it's 2000. And then say you added a Whiptail, it would be like it would be 3224. So I hope that kind of makes the stats of the way the Zoodiac stuff makes sense. I know I didn't really explain that too thoroughly when I kind of ran through what the Zoos did earlier. And then Dryden, we talked about what Dryden does, just once per turn during either player's turn, being able to attach material and pop a face-up card. It's like the heart and soul of the deck. You're resummoning Dryden all the time with Chalkanine, and then just using a Tiger Mortar to attach material to it. You may not be able to use the effect, like as I said that this card negates the effects. It's actually negates the effect until the end of the turn. But when the turn ends, you actually get your Dryden popping ability back, so... that's really what you're using Tiger Mortar a lot for, is stacking a material under either a Dryden that is resummoned from Chalkanine, or just survived and you wanted to have more stats, or it survived and you wanted to have a material. Maybe it doesn't have any material. Yeah, so that's kind of that. This is like one of the bread and butter things is when this card's in the graveyard, is to just go into a Chalkanine line, resummon it, and then overlay the Tiger Mortar on top of the Chalkanine, and then using the Chalkanine or the Tiger Mortar effect, attaching material to the Dryden. Alright, and then the last zoo that I haven't talked about is Zoodiac Borbo. So Borbo shares the same effect as all the zoos. And then really all that we care about is that Zoodiac Borbo has the ability that it is allowed to attack directly. Just period. Just an extraneous sentence right here. So when our opponent has a board, we can still attack, and we can still make our XYZ monster have battled, and then have something to overlay with Zeus on top of. So this is like Zeus stock card, essentially. We're just running it so that we can get into Zeus cheap, free, and easy. And obviously, as you guys can see, the zoos are excellent at making 4 material zoos, because you can literally just normal summon 1 monster and then overlay 3 zoos under it, and then you have your 4 material zoos right there, which is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, we don't really care about Borbo's effect. It's just that it can attack directly, and that we can summon it the same way all the zoos do. Hammer Kong has a negative effect that detaches a material at the end of the turn. It has a somewhat positive effect that your opponent can't target other zoos while this card has XYZ material, but this is not good. Hammer Kong is not, in my opinion, Hammer Kong is it's not even an opinion, it's just the worst zoo. We run it as like a different name to like stack materials, but essentially this card is like the fastest detached fodder in the entire world, and it's just here as a bridge to the other zoos that are better. actually do stuff for us. Like, even Borbo is like the homie because he can attack directly and get us Zeus access. And then if you guys don't know what Zeus does, it's just a quick effect that we can detach 2 XYZ materials and send everything on the field to the graveyard. That's not once per chain, that's not once per turn. It's pretty sick. So if we make 4 material Zeus, we can detach 2 materials. Say our opponent has a negation for that, and then we can actually just chain Zeus to the negation, and Zeus will resolve the second time, not the first time, and everything will get sent from the field to the graveyard. Summoning conditions for Zeus are super easy. All that has to happen is an XYZ monster has to have battled, and then we can just slap Zeus on top. So yeah, Zeus is really good. I feel like everybody probably knows that. And then we just run the 1 drill driver, Vespinato. This card, so a lot of the times your Zoodiac XYZs are going to have 0 attack, 0 defense because they're not going to have any material under them. And maybe you just need like another like 1,500 points of attack per game. You can just slap Vespinato onto it. Unfortunately, you can't overlay Zeus on top of this card, or else it would just be way too good. But we can find games a lot of the time, just like with this extra 2,500 damage on top of like what would have been a 0 attack Zoodiac. This card also does piercing battle damage, so it's pretty good. Especially in situations where we're looking for games, which is like when we're summoning this card. Because oftentimes leaving the Zoo on our board is better than making the drill driver. It's essentially just a 2,500 beat stick. And it does have an effect that if it's destroyed by our opponent's card effects. We can target 1 level 5 or lower monster in our graveyard, special summon it. So sometimes you can actually get a Zoo recursion with it, but you know that's pretty rare, pretty few and far between. Anyway, that is going to do it for my deck list. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, I tried to I'm doing a lot of theory crafting because we don't know too much about the XYZ Festival. Maybe in the next coming days we'll get a ban list, or maybe we'll have to wait until the actual 17th, who knows? Or maybe there just won't even be a ban list. If there's no ban list, this deck is really good, and I think I would even perhaps move to a more extreme anti-Zoodiac version of this deck list that includes main decked My Body's a Shield and main decked perhaps Mind Control. I'm not exactly 100% sure what that deck list would look like, but I figured I'd just put out like a prototype what I would maybe run in a theoretical XYZ Cup. But this is like, I guess if there's no ban list, I think this is a pretty good list as well. I think maybe we would change these for My Bodies or Mind Controls. I think maybe My Bodies, right, because My Body. When your phone's like, yeah, I mean My Body's not bad in this format actually. So maybe 2 My Bodies is actually better in this theoretical XYZ Cup format than these 2 draws. But like I said, I really don't know what the format's going to be, and I just think this is perhaps a little bit better against the field. Anyway, I'll come out with an actual deck list for this whenever the XYZ Festival actually does launch. But anyway, that's going to be my kind of final goodbye. I know I used to do that a lot more, but I've kind of stopped myself from doing it. It's been your boy Neosynthesis. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.